by divine providence to take out that notion, that idea, that to be exact. You had the Gemara, so if you have the Rambam, what'd you do? If you want to find out what'd you do? You asked your teacher, what do you do? You had to look at the Rambam. So you needed the Rambam one way or the other. It's true, they could not do away with the Rambam. But Soloveitchik, you have, if you don't want his philosophy, his sophisticated, elegant presentations of halacha, his analysis, you don't need that either. Why? Because I'm happy to read Gemara, read Ashir, to support, read Rambam, I'm happy with that. Now you may be missing an entire world of learning. You may be missing new Hidushim, but you're happy with the other. You don't have to have him. So one can function religiously very well without Rabbi Soloveitchik, unless one is beset by the philosophical problems that affect a modern person, such as the problem of evil or the problem of, does Hashem want us to reach the moon? That's an interesting question. We're spending billions and billions and billions of dollars to reach the moon, and we've done it, and we want to go beyond the moon. Does Hashem want that? That's what a religious Jew has to ask himself the question. Now, one may answer. What's one possible answer to that question? We're spending billions of dollars and energy and time to reach the moon. We're spending billions of dollars developing all kinds of technology so I could see you, I call you on the phone. I don't want to see you, I got to see you. They put the first button, I see you on the phone. Right? The technology is pushing forward in ways that are incredible. We all agree that the medical advances are appropriate. Nobody would question that issue, right? Fine. But the technological advancements may be inappropriate. That's an important question. Does a religious Jew support the NASA program in California?
Where you draw the limit, there's nothing against it. And the fact that we have the ability to do it, why would we be prohibited to do it?
Because you are spending money on supporting scientists to reach the moon. You might argue that money should be spent only for the Limud Torah, to support Talmidei Chachamim. You have $100 to give to charity, what should you give it to? Do you want, does Hashem want you to give it to a poverty-stricken person? Okay, life, important, etc., fine. A person you should give it to yeshiva, to build an air conditioning system into the yeshiva, or give it to NASA. What's more important? You know, when you have a limited amount of money, you have to decide values, priorities. What does Hashem want from us? Is the endeavor of reaching the moon a religious objective or not? That's a very, very difficult and a very, very important question. You're asking the right question. Hashem, what does he want from us? So here you have an interesting issue where the modern value is what? What's the modern value? Explore, advance, conquer, go forward, and reach the height of human potential. That would be now Rabbi Soloveitchik's formulation. That is what you should be doing. He, as a person of the modern world, would say that you must do that. That's part of the mitzvah. It's therefore a mitzvah to study astrophysics. It's part of conquering the world. Studying astrophysics is a mitzvah. Studying biology is a mitzvah. We could all argue that. It's easy again, because I'm going to study biology and I'm going to end up curing cancer. God, we pray to God every day that he should do that. That's certainly a mitzvah. So, if I were to say, somebody comes to me and says to me, Rabbi, I have a choice to what to become. I could be a Talmid Chacham. I could be an average Talmid Chacham. I could be a superior biologist. I may cure cancer. What should I do? Many, many people have that as a question. Right? Now, if I were a medieval, let's call it, posek, what would I say to that person? Probably come to Talmid Chacham, but you don't understand, Rabbi. I'll be an average Talmid Chacham. I'll be in a kollel, I'll teach a couple of kids, and that's all. He'd say, anyway, Talmid Torah Kedam, do it. But if you're a person who sees the issue of modernity, of technological advancement, as a God-driven imperative, then what would you say? Astrophysics is part of Talmud Torah. Now, I could ask you the question, which is much more difficult. What would the Rambam say about that question? That's much more difficult. The Rambam. Well, yes, good. The Rambam includes physics and science in the broad category of Talmud Torah. He would even say to you that Maaseh Bereshit, Maaseh Merkava, which is the study of divine providence and the study of natural science on a higher level than the arguments of Abaye Rabbi. Abaye Rabbi means I took his watch, he gave it back to me, who found it, I don't know whose it is, it's mine, it's yours. Sorry?
Bet it away. Don't you remember?
Bet it too?
Don't you remember the place? You bet $100 on it?
Right, okay. Different context. So, Abayot, the arguments of Ayev and Ava, they're important. They establish society, but more important is those issues of great global visions, astrophysics.
They discourage.
Sorry? Yeah, unless you had your fill of the easy stuff, don't go to the hard stuff. Yes, of course it was. But somebody who has the capability of achieving that heights of intellectual development and sophistication, as opposed to being a mediocre third grade Hebrew teacher, the Rambam will be obvious. So these are critical questions. Now again, you may go to, take out an example of Moshe Feinstein or Chavod Yosef or any of the great poskim of our generation. Should I go to college? And you go to Rabbi Soloveitchik, should I go to college? Right? Better question. Should I go to Harvard or YU? Questions asked all the time. What should I do? Should I go to Columbia or should I go to YU? Should I go to NYU or YU? Besides the N, they're very similar, those two. So that's an easy question to answer. Well, you still got Harvard and Columbia and those schools, as opposed to YU. Rabbi Soloveitchik's children went to Harvard. Because he felt, get the best education, development of mind. That's a category in and of itself. You must become, the most that Hashem gave you ability, develop it all. But of course, we'll also say, Torah, you have to study Torah also. You mean you're studying Torah in between your period, you're studying Torah in the summer, you're studying Torah at night. So his children obviously all became Talmidei Chachamim. But should I be exposed to the brilliant minds of Harvard? Now, of course, Harvard has brilliant minds. That's why it's Harvard, right? We know that. So should we be exposed to that, or only say? It's a very tough question. I'm glad I was never asked that question as a rabbi, because that's you're pulling on your two equally important values: mind development, exposure, develop cures for cancer on the one hand. On the other hand, go to YU and become, whatever it may be, you can become.
The biggest thing in Hillel,
you're putting it on a good
side.
The biggest thing in Hillel, the biggest joy of Hillel is when somebody gets into Harvard and Columbia and turns it down to go to YU.
In our school.
It happens.
Yeah, okay, no, that does happen in our school, and that's
Joy
true.
to who?
Josh.
What do you mean by Jewish?
The biggest thing, the people involved in Hillel.
So that's a good question. Okay, so your point is well taken. Hillel has a different set of values. It was not always true in Maimonides. Maimonides, Rabbi Soloveitchik's school, it was not always the case. And the compromise is go to a year to study in Israel, then go end up in Harvard. That was one of the compromises that people did. Study for a whole year in Israel, 2 years, and then you go to Harvard. We should accept that. So these are important questions as to values, religious values versus the modern values and the medieval values. Now it goes without saying that if you ask, let's say, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, should I go to Harvard or YU? He'd tell you go to YU. If that. I mean, maybe not that. Probably that. Hopefully that. But that's one issue. He was much more, of course, because his son was Rabbi Tendler, who taught at YU, so of course he appreciated all that YU had done. But I don't think he'd go beyond that and say go to Harvard. Okay, so these are modern versus medieval. Rabbi Soloveitchik, of course, was therefore this bridge personality between both worlds. The world of the yeshiva and the world of academics. The world of modern, philosophical, scientific, technological thought. He was bold in all that he did. He was bold in having the courage to go ahead and say that Harvard is an important option. Many would say it's not even an option. Go to a non-Jewish college and say, we're going to do it, it's crazy. Many of us would say that. On the other hand, he would not say that. But again, for him, knowledge is an absolute. To know, to understand, is all part of Hashem's world that you have to do. To study with the top biologists in the world is a value. Study the top astrophysicists in the world is a value. Then you learn more. You're developing that part of your mind that you have an inclination towards to really pushing for the frontiers of knowledge. That is a modern value. That is a Rabbi Soloveitchikian value. It is a Maimonidean value, Rambam value as well. So now that alone, it strains the mind to find somebody else that would say that. Often we cannot find anybody else that would say that other than his Talmidim. Rav Ruderman, Alayhi Shalom from Boston, would not say that. He's not saying. Chavod Yosef, unless you disagree, would not say that.
I don't even think a lot of his Talmidim would say that.
It depends on what school. Rabbi Soloveitchik was an interesting person in that, you know what part of modern values are? Part of modern values is that people have to decide for themselves, because they're based on Tzem Elohim. You are a person who has a mind, who has a heart, who has a soul that Hashem gave you. You have to decide for yourself. I've heard him say on numerous occasions in his apartment and in Shi'ud as well, I don't believe in spiritual slavery. One particular person said to him, I can't go to college, I'm torn to go to college, I don't want to go to college, I should go to college, what should I do, Rabbi? What did he say? I don't believe in spiritual slavery. You must choose for yourself. Modern individuality and modern choice is very much a part of our world. You choose what you want. I will not. He's the opposite of a Rabbi. A Rabbi makes decisions for you. Takes away your freedom of choice. You go to Rabbi for everything. Buy insurance, name your baby, go visit your in-laws. The Rabbi decides everything. The Rav do not believe in that. You take responsibility for what you're doing. Also a modern value. So, in that sense, he produced a whole network of Talmidei Chachamim, fantastic students, some of whom really rebelled against his own system. Right? So we understand that. Rav Schachter, who's a fantastic Talmid Chacham, fantastic posek, when I had him for 2 years, he said to me, and I said to him, I want to do something philosophical. That early on, when I was 22 years old, or 19 years old, I had this inclination towards philosophy. He says to me, that we read Mishlai Shanim. So I said, I don't want to read Mishlai Shanim, I want to read Morena Mukhim, I want to read something that's more philosophical. He said to me, not read Mishlai Shanim. I said, okay, I read it. Next year I had him again. He said to me, I said, again, what should I read? I want something philosophical. Besides the learning, he said to me, read it again. I said, read it again. So Soloveitchik would not say that. You're a Rebbe would not say that to him. He says, well, he has Mishigas, quote unquote. Now he may deny saying that today, but he said it then because I remember it very clearly and very well. So he has Mishigas too, like the Rambam did. He wasn't philosophical. He had no problems. He had no issues. So he had Musar, Musar Sharim, and he had Gemara. And he's a fantastic person. As such, he's a very ethical person and a menschlich person, and he's a good person in Acham. That's one derech. So he, as a foremost student of Soloveitchik, turned from that derech. Soloveitchik is really unique in all that he had done. So now, one point is that he has had, and I think will have, tremendous intellectual impact on everything Jewish, number one. His works are very striking, his formulations are incredible, his insight is phenomenal. When you read his works, and we will in a few minutes, you will see how he formulates things. What he sees what nobody else sees. His textual interpretations are overwhelming. All. And again, I could show you that when I studied his, for example, his Pirush on the Torah itself. And I wrote, Devarim, even though Amaran, Iyashale Omran. That if he didn't say them, nobody else would say them. Why? So, wow. Where did you get this from? He just reads so carefully, so well, so precisely, so analytically, which he doesn't give our eyes, as well as on Chumash. You're overwhelmed by that which he does. Number one, his works are, of course, as I mentioned last time, his works will become classics. His works will ultimately be studied because they're what we call self-reverberating. What does that mean? That every time you read it, you see something new, something different, something else in the works of, as the Rambam, as the Rambam also, correct? And also, most important, because he's this bridge personality, accepting the world of the yeshiva fully 100%, but also accepting the world of modernism, and they clash, he deals with the issues. Every single modern issue that one sees, he deals with. If we're talking about the role of science in the Jewish outlook, he deals with that. We're talking about the issue of the Holocaust and the problem of evil, how did Hashem earth, he deals with that. So about Zionism, he deals with that also. He deals with defense of halakha as a structured system. The modern world rejects structured systems. The flower children of California, they rejected structured systems. They couldn't see how following law and following a religious system could be meaningful. No, what's religion? Religion is spontaneous, open, flowing, loving, involved. A religion of structure and discipline, which is what we have, needed a defense. He wrote a defense in Isha Halakha of that as well. So every issue, modern, every issue, Jewish, every issue, theological, he dealt with. The issue of interfaith discussions. Could you imagine Chaim Yosef dealing with that issue? He does not, to the best of my knowledge. Could you imagine dealing with conservative and reformed Jews? What would he say about that? Don't talk to them. Don't get involved with them. You may become tainted by them. Out of the ballpark. Now that's a good medieval answer. You don't talk to Christians, you don't talk to Muslims, you don't talk to anything that's less religious. The Rambam would say, interestingly enough, that if a person is a heretic, what do you do with him? Ma'alim, muridim lo ma'alim. Trick him into a deep pit, take away the ladder and run away. He's a heretic, he's a kofir. Muridim lo ma'alim. If he's really a kofir, of course. If he's really a heretic, get rid of this guy. Because a heretic can have any ethics and morality, get rid of this guy. One way or another, get rid of this guy. Right? That's the Rambam's way of dealing with that. But Soloveitchik's answer is very, very different about Zionism, about the Holocaust, about interfaith dialogue with conservatives, reform, as well as with Christians. All of that, he responded to the modern challenges. As a Jew, you're not involved in these things. The only issue of all these that you really deal with is maybe what? Zionism. What role should Zionism play in your life? Do you care about Israel? Do you want to move to Israel? Most of us Syrians are insulated, isolated, not an issue Zionism for us. We'll support Israel. We'll support yeshivot in Israel, but it's not an option for us. But there are many Jews who see this as a critical point in life. What should I do about Zionism? Is it a spiritual renewal? Is what Hashem really wants? And if so, then we have to move there. Or is it not what Hashem really wants? Most of us don't deal with this issue in a serious religious fashion. Same thing with the Holocaust. Most of us are not impacted upon. It was a terrible story, we agree. It was a horrible tragedy, we agree. But the further question, why did Hashem do this, we don't deal with. It doesn't affect our faith in any which way. We go on, we have to do. Similarly, we don't talk to conservative, reform people. We don't talk to Christians. I get letters from pastors all the time around here. They want to be involved in interfaith dialogue. I don't respond to them. Why? It's not my thing. That's not what Rabbi Soloveitchik would say. It's not what he would say. But it's what Syrians would say. And Syrians don't get involved, so I don't get involved in it. I think I mentioned to you last year that I was involved with the Federation Rabbinic Body, which has 10 different rabbis and 15 different rabbis, which allocates money, which sets priorities and all that stuff. And we have women rabbis and reform rabbis and conservative rabbis and Orthodox rabbis, 3 Orthodox rabbis. And we were very much respected by them. And how much money Hillel gets and how much money they give to this, we all decide those issues. And I got a message from somebody in the community who says it's inappropriate, you should not be sitting with reform rabbis. I'm sure you would not say that either. But I said, okay, we're going to support. Our community will support because when I get the same kind of money for Hillel, if I were there, I'd get more money. From that, even less money. Because they weren't as effective and they weren't as many. So you're 34% of the group or you're 20% of the group. That's one person here or there. But the Syrians simply isolate themselves. I'm saying it's wrong. My Christians are saying the Syrians isolate themselves. They don't care about Christians, reforms, all that. It's all the same. Throw them out all. We don't need them, right? So that is the way, it's a modern challenge that was answered for me. If I were to follow Rabbi Soloveitchik's teachings on that, he would say, be involved with them, teach them, do not discuss ideological issues, do not talk about the legitimacy of halakha or not. Don't talk about that. That's not what you're there for. You're there to improve the lot of the Jewish community. If you're involved with the reform conservative, you can talk about charitable issues, talk about financial priorities, talk about those kinds of social issues. Do not talk about religious issues. That was his instructions. You have the New York Board of Rabbis, you have Synod Council of America, there are Orthodox sort of reform, they sit together, and the Orthodox are blamed by the more extreme Orthodox as you can't sit with a reform rabbi. You can't call them, I can't sit with them. Or conservative, you can't sit with anything like that. And no dialogue, just keep them out, push them away, they're garbage. Is what the more extreme says. But Rabbi Soloveitchik says no. The Rav says no, talk to them for social, humanitarian reasons. And he was condemned, and those rabbis who sat in those board meetings were condemned for that approach. Right? Now, that's a modern issue. Do we build up a large wall and not deal with them, or do we deal with them? Not, again, ideologically or religiously. You're not there to argue about whether halakha is legitimate or not. What are you there for? Social humanitarian reasons. That's what you do. That was his instructions. Okay. So he responded to all of these issues. He is a traditional Rosh Yeshiva, analyzing Talmudic texts, but he's also a person who was able to adapt and select what was best in the modern world, analyze whether it's right to go to the moon or not right to go to the moon, was able to give halakha a certain inwardness. He was very much concerned about inwardness of the religious experience, and he would talk about a Jew who, for example, would go through the routine of what? Of a mitzvah, and not feel the inwardness. Is that Jew good or not? Not a good Jew. Fulfill the mitzvah or not fulfill the mitzvah? So he would say to you, mourning, avilut, right? What is avilut all about? This is his typical analysis. What's avilut all about? Feelings. You may say, someone might say, it's about ripping your clothes, sitting on the floor, and that's it. he would call that, what's his term for that, doing that? He would say, the term for that is Ma'aseh HaMitzvah. It's this new term, nobody spoke about this term. You went through the ritual of the mitzvah, Ma'aseh HaMitzvah. But, where do you really fulfill the mitzvah? When you feel in your heart the loss of the person. That's called Kiyum HaMitzvah. You need Ma'aseh HaMitzvah to bring about that Kiyum Mitzvah. What about situation where you have Ma'aseh HaMitzvah, don't have the Kiyum Mitzvah, you didn't feel anything in your heart. You tripped, you sat, you didn't feel anything. You didn't do the mitzvah.
What about the opposite?
He would not accept the opposite.
I know, but the next step is to accept the opposite.
No, to the contrary. He would say you need Ma'aseh Mitzvah as well as Kiyum HaMitzvah. There's a legitimate way of going through the steps. You must go through the steps, he would say.
But the crux, he's saying what's really important is not the Maaseh.
He would say that they are mutually self-reverberating and that complementing. The Ma'aseh Mitzvah brings back Kiyum Mitzvah, and the Kiyum Mitzvah is important because it's the essence, true, but the Ma'aseh Mitzvah is also essential because that's the way that you do it. You need structure and discipline. His whole Ish HaLachah is a defense of structured religion. How many people here could say that they prayed an entire Amidah having full understanding and kavanah and awareness every single word? Very few people can. He would say that's the essence of praying. We're going to talk about praying in a little bit, but that's the essence of praying. To go through the motions of putting on tefillin and praying is not enough. It's Ma'aseh Mitzvah, it's good, it's something, but it's not Kiyum HaMitzvah. Without having some kind of internal flame that's ignited by virtue of what you did. So he was very much concerned about these issues. Structured, disciplined religion alone is not enough. Structured, disciplined religion alone is not enough. Now, he would base all this on the Rambam also, that's true, but he emphasized it to a degree beyond the Rambam. Now, where does he get it from? Because feeling, inwardness, spontaneity are modern categories that he feels were appropriate and right to have. And part of Judaism. Who could think of the first rabbi who emphasized this more than anybody else prior to him? He says in the introduction, nobody speaks about the obligations of the heart. What does everybody speak about? The ritual. Do Masim, do this, do this, do this, do this. We are doing religion, do this, do this. Or the says, hold on a second. There are obligations your heart has. Feeling, inwardness. So he spoke about it, but it was not really developed and pushed forward. Soloveitchik spoke about these issues which talk about inwardness.
Is this kavanah? Is this what we're talking about? Or not really?
It is
more than
part of it, but carving the kavanah for sure, but much more beyond that. He speaks of those issues, of those mitzvot. He goes beyond the simple formal ritual. He defends the discipline of halakha to every single degree. That's Ish HaLachah. You must have discipline. You cannot dissolve religion neither into what he calls Ish Hadat. Ish Hadat is man who's religious, with no structure. You appreciate God's sunset, but you don't know what to do with it. It's not enough. It's not good. You go to the sea and you say, Hashem, fantastic. That's good. But if you don't pray Minha, when the sun is setting, you blew the call. Ish Hadat is a man who allows religious categories to be dissolved into simply good feelings. Which of course was part of the romantic movement's religious beliefs at the end of the 19th century. Or you've got to feel good about religion, that's what you have to do. On the other hand, he would not allow religious experience to dissolve into Ish Hada'at, intellectual. Everything is a formal, structured, philosophical system. Neither extreme is good. Rather, Ish HaLachah is in between. He takes the feelings and emotions and he puts them into the right categories. Right philosophical. That's Soloveitchik's chidush about how to understand halakha. Every dot, every halakha, every dot is of critical importance. That's true. Structured discipline, but it's not enough. You need Kiyum HaMitzvah as well. So now, what we're saying over here, Soloveitchik is a unique personality, unique to the modern world, unique in the intellectual impact of his works, unique in the way that he deals with contemporary issues. You cannot think of a contemporary issue that he has not dealt with. It is not dealt with. And of course, there are those who will condemn and criticize him for his dealing with all of these modern issues. That's all true. And yet, he felt that was really what is what he had to do, dealing with these modern issues and emphasizing the inwardness and sanctity of every single deed you do. When you do a mitzvah, you're sanctifying your day. That's what one should do. Now that in and of itself is not unique. That's simply Jewish thinking. But he agreed with that statement. Sanctifying every day through mitzvah, as well as the inwardness, which is very much a part and parcel of halachic thinking, he would say. Good. Now let's look at, I don't have enough copies of this and they didn't come out so great, but we'll see how this all...
When did you ever have enough copies?
Your machine doesn't work so well. Okay, are we following about? Do we have a sense as to what he was trying to do? Do we have a sense of that? Do we understand how a man with a traditional learning, as well as with a PhD, if you want to use that as a symbol, went beyond others? Do we see that he went beyond others? Do we have a sense, and we'll see it focus as we go along, but do we have a sense of that as a bridge personality, neither denying in any which way as many the legitimacy of halacha, of Torah, mitzvah, and everything else. On the other hand, selecting and adapting from the modern experience what he felt was necessary and appropriate. We see all that, right? Very striking personality. There's an interesting idea over here, and I'll have more copies next week. Very interesting idea. Geulah hi, redemption is one. Mashkafot is one of the principal outlooks, most basic, hayoter yesudi in Judaism. Geulah hi ahad me'ashkafot hayadut hayoter yesudit. Most basic, Geulah. And hi tehoma b'shut halaumit historit. It's not only, its realm is not only in a national historical. When I use the term Geulah, what do you think of? Redemption, Mashiach, a period of time when everybody lives in a certain kind of harmonious way. Correct? No, something else he says. Ela mit pashetet hi. It spreads out le'ezurei hakiyum hashonim, in all areas of kiyum. Kiyum, existence.
Political as well, he's saying?
No.
What is he saying?
You'll see.
Okay.
Hakol zikukim legeulah pidyon. Everything in life is in need of redemption and pidyon. Right? Hatzibure story. Yes, historical community needs redemption. That we all know. Gama yahid. The individual needs redemption. What do we say in the Amidah that reports to individual redemption as opposed to political, national, tzibur redemption? What beracha do we say? We say the Amidah 12 times a day. Oh, great. Sorry. Re'ena be'onyenu. Umehela ga'anenu geulah shlema ki yigor zada b'ruch Hashem go'ei Yisrael. How do I know that's individual, not collective? It's in the section of, it's in the plural, but related to the individual needs. Lefa'enu Hashem, Hashivenu, it's all plural, but these relate to contemporary needs that we have. It's now referring to the collective national, which happens in the second part of the Amidah, from Tekah B'Shema Gadol L'Chayotenu. Tekah B'Shema Gadol L'Chayotenu starts collective nationalish Tzemach David, right?
Tzemach.
All of those berachot in the second section deal with collective national historical needs. But the earlier ones, those first four relate to the individual needs. And of course we always pray in the plural, but it's an individual. Now, not only that, Gamateva ve'aulam, even nature, even the world, kulor mishuva'in legulatka, all are in anticipation, in desperate need of geulah and tikkun, of redemption and fixing, mending. Even the thought of man, gam machsheret ha'adam, his thoughts, his concepts, idiot, his ideas, shalom, and his feelings all need redemption. Now that's a very strange concept. What do you mean by that? What does it mean that a concept needs redemption? You'll see. Hakol, everything, natun b'mitzad v'koreh Hashem le'utzko l'merhav. Everything is in crisis and asks of Hashem to be redeemed. Take him out of that crisis, something that's easier. Even Hashekhinah k'vyachol. Even, did you ever hear of the concept that the Shekhinah is in Galut? Did you ever hear of that notion? That when Ben Abdesh was destroyed, even the Shekhinah went in Galut. right? And in fact, when we say this is, of course, the Kabbalists say much more so. What do the Kabbalists say? The Shem Yehud Kudsha B'Yichush Chantech. When you say that before you have tefillah, what are you saying? You want to bring Shekhinah out of Galut and reunite it with its original source. Some of you say that for tefillah. The Shem Yehud Kudsha B'Yichush Chantech. Because there's got attached Shekhinah. Shekhinah is in Galut after the Hurban. Even the Shekhinah could be a chor. Of course, not literally true. It's only a manner of speaking. Nishbet was taken to captivity by Galut, historic, metaphysic, historic or metaphysical, tzapeh leGeulah. Even the Shekhinah wants Geulah. Now, he goes further. Sometimes there's an idea that remains alone, widowed, in the realm of thought. Ad sheba go'ala, until comes a redeemer of that idea. And it takes it out of its loneliness, and it brings to her its freedom. You have to go now?
No, I want to get in. The Ittihad Eliyahu, I think, says that the Shekhinah did not go out of
We have to find that. I want to see that.
At the end of Ittihad Eliyahu, he asks, do you think Shekhinah left? He says no. I think.
I remember that something vaguely to that effect also.
To check it.
No, we should check that. It's interesting. Yes, that's true. But of course, there is that concept of midrash. Doesn't mean that every single manifestation is actually going to all include that. But here we're talking about that there is a midrash tradition that Shekhinah even went by Galut also. So here we're telling us over here that even an idea needs redemption. In the same way that the Redeemer, that we all wait for Him, Mashpot shall raise up our poor people. Hadalah, Kach, Gam HaGoel, even the spiritual Goel is sent in order to fix an idea and to raise it up to glory. Now, what idea is he talking about? We'll see.
Is he talking about cleansing, catharsis, in the same respect as redemption?
No. Yes and no. Depends on what. Focus
very
more.
Similar.
Yes.
The way he's approaching
on the individual level.
Yeah.
Individual, yes, he put that. But not on the national, not what he's talking about right now. Right now, he's not talking about catharsis. Right now, he's talking about an idea in need of expression. In other words, there are certain ideas in Chazal that have been forgotten, that have not been analyzed and really made into very glorified ideas. A good example of that is Chawat L'Ravot. Nobody spoke about the duties of the heart prior to Rabbeinu Bachya. All of a sudden, he spoke about it, and he emphasized it, and he underscored it, and he wanted to become a pulsating idea in the history of the Jewish people. It did not become so, although he took a giant step forward. Prior to him, nobody spoke about Chawat L'Ravot. No systematic work that dealt with these issues. Internal states of mind. Rather, what we focus on? External behavioral modes of existence. Halakha is external. What did Rabbi is saying? No. Halakha is also internal. Emotion, feelings, ideas, thoughts. So Rabbi took a radical step forward in talking about the internal, the halachic internal states of mind, as well as the external behavioral states of mind.
The question is about, how does Torah itself express feeling in a lot of the mitzvot that it lists? So let's say you go through, anywhere where a bunch of positive mitzvot are listed. Take
Lotikum, Lotitor, you mean?
Yeah. Right. How does that express feeling? How does that express emotion? So just by simply
very good
saying
example.
Lotikum, Lotitor.
Good, interesting point. Is Lotikum?
Basically, how is it from the Torah? Basically.
Okay, well, let's analyze it. Right. Is Lotikum a feeling or a behavior? Or both. Lotikum means do not take revenge, meaning the way Halakha defines it, you didn't loan me your lawnmower, I won't loan you my lawnmower.
So that's an act.
It's an act.
It's a ma'aseh.
It's a ma'aseh. Now what about if I loan you...
I'll hit you.
Right.
Something like that. That's
okay, good. It's an act. Good. Now what about if I loan you my lawnmower but I bear a grudge against you?
That's a machshava.
That's a feeling or a machshava, correct. So now, what if somebody does one or the other? Let's say the person loans the lawnmower but has this, you didn't loan it to me, I know I don't do it, I'm going to loan it to you, I'm not going to say anything, but I know in my heart.
That's maaseh mitzvah, not kiyum.
Exactly. So one has to analyze that mitzvah in that same way. You could do the act that's appropriate, that's right, but you still didn't fulfill the mitzvah. You did the right act.
May not be it. Very difficult.
Okay, but the ish halacha has to be in control of his emotions to the degree where he's not going to feel that anger and that grudge because you didn't get loaned the lawnmower. Is it human? It's beyond maybe human control. I agree. Ish halacha has two interesting areas. One is that every act of his is on such a level of halacha, of closeness, of detailed observance, that he's able to function that way. Meaning, Soloveitchik's example in halacha is the following: you see a sunset. What does a poet do when he sees a sunset? Writes a poem. What does the painter do when he sees a sunset? Paints the sunset. What does Ish halacha do when he sees a sunset? Sun, frame, and chag. Exactly. Now, you take the external poetic event and it's internalized into a formal structure, a disciplined religious response. That's Ish halacha. Ish halacha sees this guy over here, and he knows he didn't loan him the lawnmower last week, but now you're asking for mine. That is a stimulus for what? Here, take it. He does what's right, and he feels what's right. Right, exactly. So Rabbi Soloveitchik will say that is the pshat of the mitzvah in that case. Now, nobody else does that. Nobody else has analyzed it in such to this degree in that particular case.
What's that other part?
One can analyze many mitzvot in this way. Right? Same context. Do not go ahead as a talebearer. Right? Let's say I don't go ahead as a talebearer, but let's say I think about the tales. About, that you're a bad guy. I don't say it to anybody. But in my heart, I know that you're a bad guy, and let's say it's a false statement, and it's coming to Shon Hara, whatever else it is, Moti Shem Ra, whatever it may be. I don't say it. If I say it, I violate the behavioral norm. But if I think it, I could have violated the internal norm that's an accompaniment to the behavioral norm. Now, you're going to say, but it's impossible. You know the guy's a creepy guy. You know the guy really is, woof, you can't stand the guy. But is that what Ish halacha does? Does Ish halacha think negative thoughts about people? Or not? He's able to almost isolate himself emotionally, intellectually, to feeling a certain kind of way and thinking a certain way. Yes, it's very difficult. But that's Ish halacha. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Against self-preservation. Take that from the school.
I don't think you can take it to an extreme. No, the Ish halacha, for example.
At some point, you got to protect yourself.
Agreed. So the Ish halacha.
People are taking advantage of me.
No, you must. Of course, self-defense is part of halachic system. Those halakha would take that factor into account and come up with a halachic response. So the external stimuli are filtered with Ish halacha.
I loaned me your lawnmower last week. I didn't even give you that one back. Now I come and give you, loan me your screwdriver.
No, so that...
At some point you got to say, this guy's just taking all my goods.
No, that's okay. So halakha would tell you, and halakha deals with that issue. Halakha would then end up, when you filter that external stimuli into the prism of halakha, what would it tell you? It would tell you that I need my screwdriver in 2 hours, and halakhically I'm not obligated to give you my screwdriver, which I need now, right? Because I need it now.
Of course I don't need it 2 hours, but I might need it in 2 days or a week.
Halakha
I'm not going to get it back.
Halakha would give you the right answer to that question.
So you do have to analyze it. You just can't be blank.
No, you analyze everything. No, it's not good guyness. Good guyness would actually be a violation of halakha. Why? Use that term. If you're only the good guy, you're almost a Christian. Turn the other cheek. Halakha doesn't turn the other cheek.
I don't know one Christian that does that, by the way.
It's only I'm not that much involved with it, so I don't really know, but okay, that's a good thing to keep in mind. Next time some Christian hits me, oh my God, turn the other cheek, I remember that. So that's halakha does that. That would be ish hadat, the man who allows religious norms and discipline to melt into being a good guy. That is Christianity. No laws, no discipline. Have faith and do what's right. Good works. That's what you got to do. So we reject that. Why do we reject that? Because it doesn't really work for your reason.
Is that Christianity like?
I'm caricaturizing. I don't know if it's exactly.
Are we Catholicism? Or are we in?
I'm talking about a religious system that does not have objective norms. We have to have, that's the brilliance of Torah and Mitzvot, that we have objective norms, right? But if you only have those norms out there, it doesn't reverberate within the person, you end up with a robot who does the tribe, doesn't feel anything. So Soloveitchik wants to not have Isha Dat, who only has this mushy kind of be good, feel happy, turn the other cheek, and it's all nice, simple, normative and appeal.
That's basically what you're saying. So I have a neighbor, and whatever I ask him, over 5 years, you can't use my mama, you can't do it, you can't do it. And whatever he asks me, I'm giving him. You lose my mama, you put your
No, halakha would tell you, don't give it to him. We have to analyze the issue halachically.
Okay, so at some point you say, well, all you're doing is encouraging evilness in this
I don't disagree with you. Yes, you have to analyze that not as human instinct, but as a halachic category. Let me make it a little bit more concrete. So Soloveitchik told us about Rav Chaim, his grandfather, who had this enormous fear of death. Everybody has a fear of death. We can't conceive of the point where we are terminated. It's a scary kind of a thought to have. What did he do? He wanted to take that emotional fear, which is appropriate, which is human, and he put it into the halachic categories of Tum'ah and Tara. So he ended up starting to study when he was 80, whatever the age was, when he had this great fear of death. He put it in the halachic categories of Avelut and of Tum'ah and whatever that implies. What did he do? He took an emotional, amorphous fear and he put it into concrete halachic categories, analyzing it, thereby kind of objectifying it and taking it out of the internal emotional state into an objective halakha category. So halakha is objective, discipline, and norms. But it's not enough to be only that. Structured, systems, because if you only have that, if you're a scientist about things, you only have these very clear-cut categories, what are you missing? The human dimension. So he wants to use both. In the same way that the sunset setting, which is the aesthetic experience, it's not enough to simply say, oh, how beautiful it is. You must pray.
It's not too much of a paradox, though, that you're institutionalizing human feelings? Because human feelings, by its nature, are uninstitutional.
Okay, but Isha, you're right, but that's that's a normal person's reaction. Isha Lacha is one who is going to respond to feelings or to human in a way that is structured discipline. In other words, a person dies, you can fall apart, you can tear your clothes, you can go crazy, you can climb the walls, you can do anything. In that case, what does it say? You go through a certain structured discipline and you filter the emotions that you're feeling through the categories of halakha, and you end up as a whole person, doing what's right. That's what he would say. So it's not enough to be ish hadat, dalet taf, meaning a man of religious norms only religion, that's Christianity, so to speak, or ish hadat with only intellectual, philosophical abstractions. One, ish halakha, tries to integrate with all that you said, the feelings of rejection that you have to that person through a look, norms, you come to your answer. You have to get a screwdriver, you want a screwdriver, I'm going to tell you, I have to give them a screwdriver. Not because it's a human reaction, but why? Because that self-preservation. Tikkun ha'olam. Certainly you do because of Tikkun ha'olam, for example. Here's another interesting example. Here, a good Christian, an interesting example, walking in the desert with a Jew. A good Christian has a bottle of water. It's come out, right? There's not enough water here for both of us to go to the city, to the next city. One of us has to die. What would the Christian do? Theoretically. Theoretically. He'd give the other guy the water. He's not going to take it himself. He'd turn that chick says, no, you take it. What's the Jew going to say? Thanks, and drink it and survive.
No, that's got to be too good. He's going to save your soul and let you die.
Right. I'm saving your soul.
For your benefit.
So just thank me for this.
But wait a
minute. That's the Gemara Kamah, Be Torah. What does it mean? Hayecha Kormi, exactly what you just said. Rabbi and Be Torah. You're in the desert. What Be Torah would say? What? Look, give him the water. You can't. What? You're gonna live and he's gonna die? That's not right. That's bushy kind of good guyness type. Whatever we're calling Ishadat. But Rabbi Akiva says, Hayecha Kormi. You have an obligation of preserving your life. Halachically, you can't give him the water. You have to drink the water and survive.
But what makes your Talmud team better than his?
I have the water. Exactly that. And parenthetically, some of the Farshim will tell you that if you end up paskening that you have to give the water to the other guy, then what happens then? You have to give it back to me. You have to give it back to him. That's when we both die. In other words, then you have a halakha paradox. You go to the same thing. So the end of halakha is hayecha kodmi. Because hayecha kodmi, you have the obligation of preserving your life. You drink the water, and nishkafei, look, whatever happens to the other guy happens to the other guy. What are you going to do? So in other words, we filtered a very difficult emotional experience. The man is traveling with you. You're his bosom buddy. You love the guy, and you're drinking the water. Halakha does not even say what? Eat sugar half and have bitachon. And it doesn't say to do that. You go, right? Don't do that. What you do? Drink the water and it's beyond haboreh.
Very cold, it seems. It's like
yes, because objective discipline, halakha needs an objective discipline through which we filter emotional responses. That same way that I see this fantastic sunset. Now what should I do? I should just simply admire it. And I'm looking and time for mincha is going on. What does a Jew do? Praise mincha. So we try to take the emotional, aesthetic experiences and not simply stay with them. Ish hadat, dalet would stay with them. Admire the sunset. Just love the sunset and write poetry. That's not ish halakha. Takes the emotions that rage within oneself or that exalt oneself, and you could appreciate that, but also filter it through into a halachic norm. We have an integration of behavioral norms as well as emotional feelings. Let's go a little bit further.
One thing on that, just statistically, in other words, the conclusion that I have to save myself.
In that case,
in the start.
Chosen by divine providence to take out that notion, that idea, that tzavara, from its aloneness to centrality of thought, of halakhic thought. In other words, could you read a Gemara now, or a Chumash, and find an idea that nobody ever said before?
Yeah. According to him, yes.
I think they'll go to you.
I can.
Yes,
Somebody
yes.
can.
I say one can.
Certainly you can. In any area, he'd say. And that idea was
He'd
given
say or you'd say?
He'd certainly say,
Okay.
right. And I'd certainly say as well. Of course, we've done it on numerous occasions. New ideas. We're reading a pasuk, reading an issue, and we come up with a new idea that emerged. That's the beauty of Torah. Torah means the Torah is of infinite value. Putting together new insights. His article on Bereshit, explaining Adam creation, is the first time that anybody ever thought or wrote of this idea. It's a new idea in the interpretation of the Torah. Period. It is new, what can I tell you? And there are many situations where, for example, even what Rabbi Shammah said yesterday, is about Torah Shlishit. I never heard it before. I think it was a new idea. I had the question myself, he had the answer. So I would think Rabbi Shammah came with a new idea, fantastic idea. And again, I would like to take his idea about Bil'am. Why was it not explicitly stated in the Torah that Bil'am was the one who gave the instructions to prostitute the Jewish people by virtue of this sexual plan that he had? We know he did it. Torah doesn't tell us that he did it. Why does the Torah not tell us that? Right? Good, interesting point. It's a very good question. A million times that question. Why all since he is not there? Well, tell me he did it over there. He said that he went his way, that was his story. Tell me there that Bilam said, hey, Balak, you want to get the Jews? Let the girls, the good-looking girls, wear mini skirts, and now we'll be able to entice them. And exactly what happened. So who doesn't tell Torah? Why not? Later on in my talk, we find out that he does that, but not in Parashat in Balak. Why not? He had his answer because he didn't really tell explicitly. He told them derech agav, read between the lines, etc. So Torah does, he didn't say explicitly in between. So that's what Hashem said. Very good answer. Interesting question. Good answer. Hidush. I would say it's a hidush. We should analyze and go through all history of interpretation, 2,000 years, which we could do, and find out is it really a hidush or not. I would think it is. I never saw it. I've heard of it. So therefore there are hidushim that we think of and nobody else thought of. It's an incredible statement to make, but it's the nature of Torah. One can do so. So he would say, sorry, I'm finished one more minute. So he would say over here that for many generations this idea remains alone. Nobody comes out and redeems this idea. Logical sevarot. For example, Ye'ush lo mida'at. What does lo mida'at mean? Ye'ush lo mida'at.
Somebody steals an object, or an object is lost.
An object is lost.
Right. And
now, I could keep, one can I keep that object? I found the gold watch. One can I keep my gold object? Only you forget it. Right. You gave up. You're not going to ever get it back. I can keep it. Right? Now, if it's a gold watch, has your name on it, you'll never give up hope. Right? You know you lost it. Ye'ush. If it doesn't go has your name on it, you'll never give up because you know you're going to get it back because you know the guy will give it to you. After 22 years, you never give up hope. Right? Then I can keep it. Okay. Let's say you don't know you lost it. It's a fantastic argument. Vakama, the first critic. You don't know that you lost it. Is it Yush or not Yush? So that's an argument about Abaye Rava, very famous sugya in Bava Kama. Okay, now the question over here is, we want to understand their argument, each side. One side says, Havei Yush. You don't know you lost it, but you give up hope anyway. You don't have if you don't know what you lost, you should only die. Havei Yush. Creating a new sivara, psychological. Now we have in the 20th century all kinds of understandings of the human mind. And perhaps we could use one of the concepts of how the human mind works that will explain. So that would be a new sivara in a 2,000-year-old argument that only came to light just now. That's possible. We'll agree.
Even more simply explaining what kavanah is.
Yeah, okay, agreed. Yes, kavanah intentions. Where is it from the brain? We know the brain has different sections to it. There's different rooms and compartments up there. How does it work? Yeah, all those issues. So I could come up with a new idea, new understanding of a particularly old halachic argument as to why it is and why it is not. That's this point over here. The fact of its own, all of a sudden, idia, an idea, almonit, an idea that's a widow. Nobody cared about her. Shaita Tilna, that was hidden in a corner in the very beginning, starts to move, starts to pulsate. Min ha-peripheria, from the periphery, ila merkaz, to the center. The idea is there, but nobody grabbed it. Nobody grabbed the idea of that there are certain obligations of the heart. All of a sudden, in the 13th century, 12th century says, I have to write a book about what did I book? Nobody else wrote the book. How come? Nobody did it. Nobody thought about it. It's an amazing thought. Judaism was around for 2,000 years before that. Nobody thought about writing Chavod Levavot. Okay, wherever it was, historical circumstances, what he perceived in society, whatever it was. He did. He decided it was an issue.
I can't believe that anybody before the Chavod Levavot didn't have feelings.
They had feelings.
I think it was inborn and innate, and I think that people just started losing it.
Agreed. Could be. Maybe that was part of it. But it might have been, kind of part of the psychology of the person. People started losing it. And all of a sudden, after 200, 300, 400 years of hiddenness, I'm not saying it's never, he says it's in the periphery. It's always there, someplace in the corner, as you're saying, and then it's lost or emphasized or individualized, whatever way. All of a sudden somebody comes along at a particular time in history and becomes a massive work that's one of the most popular medieval Jewish works to this very day. All of a sudden, he explodes it. But nobody else did it before that. And there are many issues, for example, writing Shemonah Perek to the Rambam. Many examples of that. Nobody analyzed the psychology of the soul, where the Rambam does, dealing with free will, dealing with all these other kinds of issues about psychological illnesses. Nobody did before the Rambam. Nobody did. Nobody did many of the things before the Rambam did. Writing a super comprehensive work of all of halakha, putting every detail in its categories from. Nobody did that before or after, for that matter. Period. That's the Rambam. So certain ideas are waiting to be discovered, are in the corner and the periphery, and all of a sudden because of somebody's thought, ideas, situation, historical, psychological, whatever it may be, all of a sudden moves that idea from the periphery, in the merkaz, to the center, from the from disappeared to being revealed. That's what he does. Now, the next paragraph is going to tell us one such idea that was brought out into the open from the periphery is the idea of prayer. Prayer, what do you mean? It was always part of us. Rabbi Such says over here, no. There's two types of prayer, or two acts of prayer. One is the formal discipline of prayer that we engage in, right? Which Jews have been doing forever. And seeing tefillah prayer as what? Avodah shebalev. As an internal emotional experience. Where do we find this idea that was on the periphery, just kind of under the surface, all of a sudden taking on a new prominence and becoming the focal point of prayer, which should be what? Avodah shebalev. Who does that first? The Rambam. Prior to that, prayer was all formal, disciplined, structured. Just do it. Also, the Rambam comes along and says, what's a prayer really? Avodah shebalev. You say, what does that mean? Internal states of mind, feeling emotion, relating to Hashem in a certain kind of a way. That's real prayer. Avodah shebalev. It was always there in the corner, that idea. The Rambam came along and started writing about it and putting it as part of halakha. Prior to what halakha was said, Pray 3 times a day. Stand in the right place. Don't stand in a place that doesn't smell good. Wear your proper clothing. That's what prayer is all about. No excuse. Avodah Balev is the Ram. Ram was the first. Whatever he was. We have to analyze this much more. You'll see, we'll go through each individual paragraph and see how the Rambam redeemed the concept of prayer not as behavioral norm, but rather prayer as Avodah Balev, an internal, spontaneous, emotional experience. Rambam was the first. Talk about it at depth and at length. Next week.